Hi, my name is Autumn Payne, and I'm a visual journalist speaking today with Stephen Bryant Walker. He's a therapist at Middle Way Health, and he's a Buddhist teacher. And he's got a really wonderful perspective that combines both Eastern and Western philosophy. And we're here today to talk about topics of mental health, and we hope that it will be of benefit to the people that get to watch it. So thank you again for joining us and bringing your wisdom.
You're welcome. And I want to point out to the viewers that I have no idea what questions you're going to ask.
That's
So,
correct.
uh,
So it's completely
I
unscripted.
yeah, I set it up this way. So the answers would be answers that I might give in therapy, that people are actually asking. So it isn't all scripted out. So I might fumble a
Absolutely.
little bit or I might be right on. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. And you can always add to the questions in the comments as well. So today is an awesome topic, if I do say so myself. I wanted to talk about conflict and how to conduct conflict compassionately in a way that doesn't degrade relationships, hopefully, because conflict is going to come up. It's going to come up in personal relationships. It's going to come up in business. It's for me, I personally don't enjoy being in conflict, but sometimes it's something that we need to do. So I wonder if you could share some guidelines on how to approach conflict in a way that will have the most beneficial resolution.
This is a big topic.
I know we could do several of these.
My first thought is, I don't know. Yeah, there's so much good work um, being written about these days. There are books on conflict resolution, things like that. Um, so the reason I bring up an academic approach is that I think it's important that people weirdly do some reading first.
Hmm.
Instead of just kind of going in there and saying, well, I'm just going to go in with a good attitude or something. Um, I think we should, look at conflict, resolution or working with conflict is a real kind of skill that
Mm-hmm.
we have to train in, even beforehand, and get some technical background, so that it doesn't. We don't assume that we're just naturally going to be good at conflict or it's easy. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting. Usually, I don't direct people to reading books all the time or academic stuff, but um, there's a scientific side to conflict resolution.
Really interesting. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's sociological, psychological studies, people that have actually worked with, highly conflicted organizations or people or countries and things like that. So that um, there's a body of knowledge about, like, generally what works and what doesn't work.
Huh.
So the reason I bring that up is so we're not just thinking conflict is, like, oh, it's a personal thing. It's,
Mm.
it's kind of obviously a global thing, society thing, tribal thing, and it has certain rules
Hmm.
that people have discovered. Just how it's almost kind of like game theory. There's certain kind of rules about how things play out, and there's something to be said for, like, this dispassionate study of, conflict between entrenched groups or even between individuals.
Hmm. Interesting. So do we want to take the heat out of it then, would you say?
Um,
But with this study, I mean, besides gaining some skills by studying, which is good.
yeah, I mean, I guess by the heat, you mean emotional reactivity and
Mm-hmm.
impulsiveness and aggression
Mm-hmm.
and revenge. Um, yeah. Um, so I'm starting out with a little bit saying, let's get in our heads about this.
Oh, get in our heads. Usually we're told to get out of our heads.
Right. This is California, And we always say that in therapy and yoga and meditation, and get into your body. And but so much conflict is very heady, because people
Mm.
have positions, and they
Mm-hmm.
have kind of right or wrong stuff, and strategies. They've already done a lot of strategizing, if you're aware there's a conflict. So I'm putting out a pitch for rationality and logic as a really
Mm.
important part, and just kind of scientific information.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas kind of one-on-one therapy style would be just learn to listen, develop empathy,
Mm-hmm.
read Nonviolent Communication, which is a great series of books and website.
I'm gonna
Marshall
put in
Rosenberg's. Pardon me?
nonviolent communicate. I'm gonna write this down.
Yeah, Nonviolent Communication.
Communicate. Sorry, I gotta spell that right. All right, so I want to make sure I put these resources into the comments here.
Yeah.
Nonviolent communications and any other books that you might recommend. So, yeah.
I don't have a conflict resolution book right on the tip of my tongue, but empathy and listening and even good communication aren't always enough when there's serious conflict. See, we in a perfect world, we just think, well, I listened, I'm understanding, I'm empathetic to your situation. We'll kind of, then resolve it that way. We'll both kind of meet in the middle with empathy and da da da. But with a lot of high conflict situations, it's not so easy. Okay.
Well, darn. I was hoping you were going to tell me.
You asked the question.
Yes, I know. But I was hoping you were going to say, just be empathetic and listen, be an active listener and it'll all work out.
Well, that's really important. But a lot of conflict, we're going to be wiser when we're a listener and we're able to, try and understand where someone else is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of conflict is set up like a chess set, like a chess game.
Interesting.
And strategy and understanding of moves, what works and what doesn't work, will really help. Because in the real world, people have entrenched positions, they have life and death situations, they have property issues, they have childcare issues, and it's not just going to be, okay, I'll listen to my ex, who I think is, a really bad person, empathetically, and then I'll just turn my kid over to them, right? So, there has to be structure and logic and information and science to work through intense conflicts. When people are basically super nice and things aren't violent or dangerous, and there's not property things involved or nations, then a lot of times you can just say, we're all in this together. Let's just see this is a problem we're both working on. But a lot of times, people really want you to leave a territory, like, I don't want you on the West Bank,
Yeah.
get out of Ukraine.
Uh-huh.
And there's some intelligent ways that we've learned how to de-escalate situations or get to mutual agreements or negotiations. So one way to think about powerful conflict resolution is folks that work with high crisis situations, with folks that are actively suicidal, right? And that's a conflict situation, right? Even on a suicide line, or someone's actually on site, and there's horrible situations where somebody's holding somebody else hostage and you're a hostage negotiator. There's a skill there, right?
Skill set.
Yeah, there's a
Interesting.
skill set
Yeah.
of how to work with these like really charged situations, and hopefully none of us is going to have to experience that. But um, if going to being aware that there's science and there's strategies that have worked in high conflict situations can help us even in smaller ones. Who's going to take the car to get it washed today, right?
Yeah.
Usually, even in nice relationships, there's power struggles, right?
Yeah,
And
definitely.
generally, in my experience, it's like even really good therapists don't like to really deal with power struggles.
Hmm.
We'd rather talk about anything else. Let's talk about feelings, or let's even talk about money. Let's talk about
Oh.
sex.
Uh,
Let's talk about emotions, but let's not talk about the real power struggle because it
mhm.
just seems so intractable, so difficult. And a lot of times, just like, um, a lot of drug and alcohol work, like if therapists are not trained or sensitive or woke about drug and alcohol issues, they won't even bring it up in a session, right?
Hmm. Interesting.
They won't even ask.
Yeah.
If
Wow.
couples are fighting, lots of times therapists, develop more empathy and, and listen to each other. But then you'll find out someone's really active in their addiction and it is making a huge difference. But a lot of times people don't even ask.
Hmm.
And then they don't know much about, dealing with, um, addiction and alcohol and drug dependence, right? There's a
Mhm.
skill there, there's science there, there's people that have done some work.
That's interesting because I think when I think of strategy in an argument, it makes me think of manipulating the situation potentially. But actually, you're saying from a side of bringing wisdom into it and a skill set and developing that skill set so that you can work towards a resolution better in a very logical way.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I think a lot of us have not done that research or training or work, but it
yeah.
sounds like a good idea.
I mean, I'd like to do more myself. I'm not a conflict resolution specialist or you know hostage negotiator or something like that.
Mhm.
But the value of looking at high conflict situations is that we realize that um, there is expertise that can be applied to even smaller conflicts before they turn into a forest fire.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
makes
we
sense.
we should talk more about this because
Yeah, we'll talk more
so
about conflict in the next one. There's
yeah,
more to
things
dig
don't
in for
yeah
sure.
things don't always go away just with empathy. It's a start and it must be there, but
Mhm.
also it also takes a lot of time. It's like working with an eating disorder or something, right?
Takes time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of habits to work through.
Mhm.
Well,
Okay. Well, thank you so much. That was a lot to learn about, and we'll look forward to the next one. We'll
yeah,
continue it.
good. All right.
Okay. Thank
Ciao.
you.
Bye.
Bye.